So good morning, everybody, and welcome to our second HealthCare curated Girls Get Set session. As I'm sure you all know, this one is going to be a careers spotlight. Hopefully you've got your worksheets printed out where you can take some notes about what you learn about each speaker and some of their top tips that they're going to share with you. As I've said a few times, we're going to be using the chat function today to take questions. So after each of our speakers gives their careers talk, we'll take questions straight after. And hope you've all been getting on really well with your projects that you've been working on this term. It was really fantastic for HealthCare last week to be with our sponsored schools, some of whom came to our site and some of whom we went to you. So without further ado, let's get underway. So today you're going to be meeting Holly, Julia and Lily. And you can see that Holly is an ultrasound sales specialist. Julia is a business optimization leader for a part of our business called pharmaceutical diagnostics. And Lily is a senior technical program manager for our digital R&D team. And that probably doesn't mean very much at the moment, because I often find that job titles don't always actually tell us exactly the job that people do. But I'm not going to say any more for now, because they're going to tell you in much more detail about what they do and what their day looks like. But we thought we would start by playing a bit of a game before you actually get to meet them. We thought it could be really fun to try to match the speaker to the fun fact that they've shared with us. So we have 3 speakers and 3 fun facts. So who do we think for fun fact A has told us that they have pet chickens? Who do we think for fun fact B has told us that they have a GCSE in dance? And who do we think for fun fact C has told us that they have 3 babies, Jack, Lexi and Kezia? They're 3 horses. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to think about that and then pop it in the chat. Who you think said A, who you think said B, who you think said C, and we'll reveal the answers and maybe we'll let them tell each of you a bit more about those fun facts.
Really nice to be talking to you all today. So I am, as Ros mentioned, a ultrasound sales specialist for GE HealthCare. So I'll just talk a bit about myself first before I go into talking about my job and stuff. So I'm 25. I've worked for GE for about 4 years now, in various different roles. I currently live in Manchester. So the patch that I cover doing the sales for ultrasound is the Northwest and Midlands. So Manchester is a really good location, kind of central to all of that. The picture on the left is a picture from my apartment, so it's got really nice views of the sunset, which is just great. I can just sit here and watch the sunset as I'm working, so that's always fun. There's a photo of me there with my two sisters. So recently we went to New York, which was great. So in my spare time when I'm not working on holiday, I like to just go away and travel, which is really fun. So I went to obviously New York this year, as mentioned. Last year I went to Kenya, which was really cool. I went on safari, so that was fun. I like to do exercise and fitness classes in my spare time, and I've recently signed up to do the Great North Run half marathon. So I'm kind of training for that at the moment. So it's quite intense, but I'm enjoying it. And I like to kind of cook in my spare time. And when I do a run on a Saturday, I always get a pastry afterwards. So I'm like, I'm doing a run, that deserves a pastry. So that's a bit about me. So going into my career journey so far, so as I said, I'm only 25, so my career's not really been that long so far. But I'll just talk a little bit about what I've done so far. So I grew up in Cornwall. So there's a nice bit of a pasty there, which is one of the highlights of living in Cornwall. I went to a school called Polter, where I did my GCSEs, also GCSE Downs, which I mentioned. I then went to college and I did a business studies diploma, which was really fun. Like that, it got like a broad overview of kind of all the different areas in business, which then I decided to go and study marketing at uni. So I went to Northumbria University in Newcastle. Newcastle was a great city. If you haven't been yet, I would recommend when you're older, go to Newcastle. It's great fun. So I did a 4-year course there studying marketing. And in my 3rd year, I did a placement year with GE HealthCare. So that's where I first started my career with GE. I did a commercial operations internship, which was basically doing kind of like marketing, doing a bit of sales, doing a lot of like calendars, planning and stuff for the team. So it was really good. I kind of got to meet a lot of people and just sort of start my career off with doing like the placement year. I then went back to uni to finish my degree. It was in COVID, which was a bit of a shame, but it also meant that I just had to stay in and do my uni work. So that was a plus. And then once I graduated, I came back to GE. I did a sales graduate program, which basically you go around and shadow everyone and you get an overview of kind of like loads of different roles, which then helps you realize what you like to then go in and specialize. So after I did that for about 9 months, I then went and did a sales role within the clinical accessories team. So it's selling like the consumables that go with the anesthetic machines and like patient monitoring. So that was really interesting. And it was kind of like sort of an interlude into getting into sales. So it's kind of like a started off role. And then I've recently moved into this role. So I've only been doing it since November. And it's basically selling ultrasound equipment into theatres, A&E, ICU. So it's kind of like got a very broad kind of portfolio of products, and you sell into quite a lot of different care areas, which means that you get to see lots of different people and you're not just sort of doing one thing every day. So each day is different, talking to new people, which I really like. So going on to a day in the life of a sales specialist. So each day is very different for me because I cover such a big region. I'm always traveling and kind of going to see different customers. So it's really good that each day you're talking to someone different. They've got a different set of skills, and I'm always learning something new. Because as I've not got a clinical background, I am got a marketing background. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. So I learn from the customers all the time, which is really nice. So as I mentioned, each day is different, but a typical day could look of going into theatres and demoing equipment. So there's a photo of me there in scrubs, which is really fun. I'm like, oh, look at me, my scrubs. So going in there and just basically they'll be using the equipment for doing things like nerve blocking, which is where they block the nerves before you have an operation. So they'll be using it on the patient and I'll be there just sort of advising them where things are on the machine and running through it. So it's really crazy. Like when I was in school, I never think that I would be in theatres while someone's doing an operation. So yeah, it's really interesting. And then some days I work from home. So I plan my own calendar. So I can literally just message customers and just be like, right, this day I'm going to do this, which is really nice because then you have your own freedom just to kind of do what you want and sort of plan your days to how you want to do them. So I do some admin tasks, just emailing customers, phoning them. I do some marketing stuff still just because I've got obviously a marketing degree, but it's predominantly just like talking to customers, doing quotes and sort of finding the right products for them. And then sometimes we go to conferences. So it's coming up to conference season where there'll be quite a few conferences each month. And this will be basically where each one is specialised and it will be about a different care area. And there'll be guest speakers, people coming to the booth, and we have like a stand, and they'll be running through the product with them, answering any questions, and just kind of networking. So it's a really good way to meet customers, and trying to get them to know about the product. And then I also do customer training. So I'll go in with the customers, train them up on the product, and just sort of run through any questions they've got. It's really good because each customer's different, like I was saying, and you kind of like learn a lot from them. So really enjoyed it so far. But yeah, so that's kind of my career. It's quite short so far, but I'm hoping that I will have a long career with GE. It's a really good company to work for, and I'm really enjoying like working in the healthcare industry and kind of meeting all the customers. So yeah, is there any questions?
I can see three, and they all think that Lily is A. So maybe we'll go to Lily and we'll see if that's true or false.
That is, in fact, true. So I must have a face that looks like someone that keeps chickens.
Do you want to tell us any more about that briefly, Lily?
Yes, so I started keeping chickens about 10 years ago because I needed a pet. Well, I don't need a pet, but I wanted a pet that also is sort of useful and has eggs. So now my oldest chicken is 7. She has now stopped laying, but it's still very clever.
Yeah, fantastic. Can't believe I've never talked to you about your chickens before. Okay, and then the fact B, which was I have a GCSE in dance. So I'm going to say, Julia, do you have a GCSE in dance?
Afraid I don't, no.
Okay, would you like to have a GCSE in dance?
I mean, I'm not sure it plays to my strengths. I'm very jealous that someone else could do that.
So tell us about your fact, which of course has to be that you have 3 horses.
Yeah, so I have 3 horses. So I guess I've had a horse since I was about 13 years old. And I guess over time, that was a while ago, I seem to have collected them. So now I have 3 and they are my babies. So yeah, Jack, Lexi and Kezia are my 3 horses.
Fantastic. Sounds like a lovely way of unwinding as well. So Holly,
Definitely.
you have to be the dancer.
Yes, well, not anymore, Sally. I don't really dance that much anymore. But yeah, I had a B in GCSE dance. So when I was in school, I really liked dance. I did that as like my hobby. And when I was in school, I wanted to be a backup dancer when I was older. But obviously, that's not happened now. Now I work in healthcare. But yeah, so used to love dance. It's really fun. It's a fun GCSE to do as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I did GCSE drama, and that was my really fun GCSE. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to actually move to Holly now, and hear a little bit more about Holly and her career so far. So get your pens and paper ready so you can take some notes, and you can ask some questions when she's finished talking to us.
So hi everyone, I'm Holly.
Very much. So hi everyone. Good to be speaking to you this morning. I'm Julia Casey. So I think, you know, I've already covered my fun fact. I'm looking at the pictures now on the screen. Obviously, these are the three horses that I mentioned that are on the screen. They're obviously a big part of my life outside of work, and a great way to sort of de-stress and focus on other things, I think. So that's one of my big passions. It would be remiss of me not to mention my husband. He's in one of the pictures. So so I'm married, been married for about 15 years. And I think this photo is actually at my brother's wedding. So that was a good family occasion. There's a very small picture in the middle of a recent holiday, a view of the beach, I think in Dubai, actually. So that was a nice holiday. I like to go on holiday and do nothing when I'm on holiday, because I do a lot between work and my horses and everything else. So when I want to go away and you know, relax, it really is a kind of do nothing and read a book kind of situation. There's also a picture then on the bottom left, which is one of the architect's drawings for our house redevelopment and renovation. So it looks very grand. It's not that grand, but you know, I'm very passionate about house renovations, particularly kind of character properties and things like that. So, you know, I have quite a few different kind of, I guess, different interests outside of work. So that's kind of broadly me, I guess. On the next page then, I'll tell you a little bit about my career journey and then lead into kind of what I'm doing today. So I think, you know, first of all, I guess at school, in terms of GCSEs and then A levels, I guess I had a bias towards maths and science in terms of the things that I was sort of mostly interested in. I then went to UCL, so University College London, so right in the centre of London, and studied biochemical engineering. It was quite an interesting course, I guess, at the time, very much kind of cutting edge in terms of pharmaceutical product development. So thinking about a novel group of types of pharmaceutical products, how you would manufacture those, how that would work, and some business elements in that course as well. So, you know, I found that really interesting. It was great being in London, very diverse group in terms of the other students at the university and definitely on my course. So that was a good time back in the day. When I graduated, then I'd particularly been interested in some of the business aspects of my course. So I decided to join PricewaterhouseCoopers, so PwC, which is one of the leading consultancy and accountancy firms. So I did that when I graduated. So I joined their graduate program, which was a kind of 3-year program, and trained to be a chartered accountant while I was there as well. So I did that, did my 3 years, as it were, really focused on financial audit. So understanding the financials of a company, how much money they're making, how do they make that money, what are the cash flows, how sustainable is that business? And then within PwC, I actually decided to move into the deals part of the business. So helping clients at that time, buying and selling companies and making investments in companies, and particularly within the pharma and healthcare space. So I started to join the dots in terms of the business experience and the accountancy with my degree, where I had an interest in kind of science and engineering and sort of bringing the two things together in my career. So I did that for a number of years. I was, sold a lot of businesses over the years at PwC. And then I decided that I wanted to move from being an advisor into being in the business. So, and I wanted to stick with the theme of being in pharmaceuticals and healthcare. And so I found a great opportunity at GE HealthCare and moved into the GE HealthCare business, doing deals for GE HealthCare. So looking at parts of the business that we could expand, where we could invest in new technologies, buy businesses, but also looking at areas where we could potentially sell parts of the business as well. So that was my role for, I guess, the first 3 years of being in GE HealthCare. And then I was lucky to be able to have an opportunity to move more into the business and more into product strategy. So for about the last 4 or 5 years, I've been running a part of the business called molecular imaging. These are radioactive products that are injected into the bloodstream to get better imaging, better diagnostic information for patients. So quite kind of cutting edge, I would say, again, and really interesting area, real sort of patient impact when we think about what we do. And I did that job for, I guess, 4 or 5 years. And then very recently, I've just started a new role, which is business optimization. So really my role here is to say, to look at all areas of business and think,
there's some days where I think you're less motivated. So I wouldn't say you're bored, but sometimes it's really harder to do the work, if that makes sense. But because I am out, like, traveling a lot and meeting customers, I don't work from home as much as I used to, so I don't really find it.
And then how do we think, how do we help the teams within our business to be able to do their jobs better or more efficiently,
hearing a bit more about why you didn't
them as well. So how do we help the patients? How do we help customers? How do we help our teams on the ground?
So and you have really, to be so committed to doing it if you really want to pursue it. I would say that if you do decide that you want to do it, and that's kind of where you want to focus, then definitely do it. But I think for me, I was kind of I really like doing it as a hobby, but like I think that I realised that there was other priorities I had in my life.
I really enjoy my job. I'm part of the leadership team.
It's important to keep things just as a hobby
diagnostics business. So have lots of opportunities to kind of influence quite a few things around, what we're doing from a strategy.
They've been asked, what is your salary, please? So I guess just on the we do get asked that question quite a bit.
In terms of a day in the life. Now, I guess the first comment I would make is there is no typical day in terms of what I do.
Commission is
what are some of the things that I tend to do, right?
So it's really good.
I have a team.
I'm like doing very well on my salary.
Working with my team.
I think sales is really good if you work hard to get the rewards. So
kind of
the more that you sell, obviously, the more bonus you get. So it's more motivating.
I spend time talking with customers to understand their perspectives. I spend time talking with
really good. I never knew sales was really a job, to be honest. Like, who would have thought that you'd need to sell ultrasound equipment into a hospital, but you do. So
they might be manufacturing companies. Really thinking,
how do we best work with some of these companies and some of these other players, so that together we can be even stronger. We can do even more for customers and you get along with them.
Then it's kind of like just like going.
We do a lot of work.
I
do a lot of work.
Now when I'm like some of them I get along with, it's just like going and seeing your friends.
What are we going to do over the next
trying to get them to buy
few months, over the next year, over the next 5 years? How do we build out those plans?
What was it like when you went back to university during COVID?
And present what we're doing.
I was in, so it was all right. Obviously, it was my final year, which I think if there was going to be any year where there was COVID, I'm glad it was my final year.
I think really,
just because you couldn't go out, you couldn't really do much. So all I could do was go to the library. That's the place you are to go. So obviously, I got first in my degree, and I don't know if I would have got first if I wasn't in COVID, because I would have probably gone out, would have been working, and so like I wouldn't have been as dedicated to my degree as I was. Because my sister's doing her final year at uni now, and I'm just like, why aren't you studying all the time? And she's like, oh, I've got to work, I'm going out with my friends, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well.
For GE HealthCare and some of the exciting things that we're doing.
As you say, so easier once you already have made your friends.
My day's very varied. We learn a lot, I think, at work. I think Holly mentioned this as well. We learn a lot from
questions about Cornwall. Whereabouts you live in Cornwall, and what's your favourite?
And I think that's an interesting thing to think about.
So I live in St Austell, which is near the Eden Project. I don't know if you guys know that. It's a big dome place. So that's where I lived. It was really nice by the beach and stuff, but there just wasn't much opportunity opportunities
take
down
on
there. So
board
that's why I
those learnings
moved
and think,
to
well,
Newcastle
okay,
for
what does
uni.
that mean
And
then?
my favourite pastry is
What do I
probably the
need to do
traditional pasty. You
differently
can't
as a
beat it.
result,
Although
and
there is
things
a
like
quite
that?
nice
So,
hand leek one, but I think it
that's a
depends
bit of
where
a
you get the pasty
snapshot,
from
and
rather than
maybe
the
we can
pasty
jump into some of
flavour.
the questions if there's
What's
any.
the traditional flavour? I'm showing my ignorance
Oh,
here.
it's like steak and potato and
Oh yeah,
onion, I think, isn't it?
bit
Very
like a
nice.
classic steak and kidney pie, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to just take one more question. Did you ever reconsider your job as you were always moving? Yeah, you have moved quite a lot.
Yeah, so I think so with GE they're quite good. There's loads of different roles. Like I still don't know all the roles there is within GE, so there's so much room for progression. So I think for me, obviously I'm still quite young at the moment and I haven't really got any ties, so I'm just happy to move around. I'm happy to like move for the job and stuff. So that's why I moved to Manchester. It was for this job. But a lot of my friends live here anyway, so I don't mind. I didn't mind moving. But I just think it depends. You kind of realize what you enjoy, and I think that once you progress through your career, you kind of learn the skills in one job. You kind of want to move on just to be able to better yourself and just sort of keep yourself learning. So I think that I don't regret like moving or anything like that, and I'm really enjoying this role now. And I'm excited to like get into it and like learn all the skills that I need. But yeah, no, I think you just sort of grow and then you want to move. I feel like.
Yeah. Thank you, Holly. That's been really, really interesting. I've definitely learned quite a lot more about sales at HealthCare. I don't think we've had someone on the call that's had that job before. So I know you're going to stay with us, and if there are any more questions a bit later, then we can come back and answer those.
Yeah, for sure. No, thank you. It's great talking to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we're going to move on and hear from our second speaker, Julia.
Great, thanks.
We asked them for some advice that they would give to their 13-year-old self. So we'd like you now to try to guess who gave which piece of advice. So we have follow your passion, don't put too much pressure on yourself, enjoy the journey, and try a variety of activities. It's just as important to know what you don't like as what you like. Let's see if we can match that up. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Okay, let's reveal those answers. So follow your passion. Holly, did you say follow your passion?
No, I didn't. That is a good one though, but no.
And Lily, did you say follow your passion?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay, so it has to have been Julia who said follow your passion. Do you want to expand on that a bit, Julia?
Sure, yeah. So to be fair, I think these are all good advice, but so yeah, I think you spend a lot of time working, right? And so I think it's really important that you believe in what you're doing, right? In terms of what is the company doing? What's the company's purpose?
Thank you, Julia. There's a lot of questions.
Do I believe
Sorry, there's
in
a lot
that?
of
Can I get
questions
behind
coming
that,
through.
right? Because
I think
we all put a lot into
lots
our
of different things
careers
that
and
you've
a
touched
lot into
upon.
the
I think
day-to-day. So I
the
think
students would like
it
a
is
little
really
bit more
important
information.
that
I think it's very interesting hearing about your career. It feels like every part's built on the part that's gone before.
To you.
Yeah, so really, really interesting to hear about that.
Definitely.
So okay, let's find out who said B.
Some
Don't
questions
put too
about
much
whether you
pressure
were
on yourself.
nervous when you
Enjoy
went
the
to
journey.
university to UCL.
Lily, did you say that one? And was it hard to get in there?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, I mean, good questions. I
Okay,
think at the time,
so
yeah,
Holly,
of course, right? So
tell
whenever
us
you do
more.
anything new,
So
of
I
course
feel like
you're a
in
bit
school or
nervous.
when
You
you're
don't
younger,
know.
you
I mean,
always
I
feel
didn't know
pressure to like
anybody who was
know what you
going to
want
be
to
on
do
the
when you're
same
growing up
course
and
as
like
me.
know
So
what
you're
career you
meeting
want to
all
go
those new
into.
people.
And I
You
just
made a
think
big
that I wish I told
decision
myself
in
when I was
terms of,
younger,
is
like
this
don't put
the
too much
right
pressure on it. Just pick
course? Am
something
I
that
going to
you
be
like
good
and
at
just
this?
like do that in like
But I
college.
think, you know,
And then when you go into
you
uni,
have
that
to
do
make a
something that
judgment
you
based
enjoy,
on,
because obviously you're spending
you
a
know,
lot
how
of
you
time
feel when
studying,
you
and then
visit
obviously
the
if you're going to go into
university.
it,
You know, you
just
make
like
a
do
judgment
what you
based
like,
on, you
and
know,
then
what is the
hopefully
course
it will just lead
covering?
into a
How do
career
you know?
with something
Is
that you
that
enjoy.
interesting? I
And
think,
obviously I did
you know, if
marketing
it's
uni and now I do sales
interesting
for a
to
healthcare
you,
company.
you're
It's
going to
not
do
really
a
what
good
I thought
job.
I'd be doing. So I wish I
And I
would not put
think,
that
yeah,
pressure
of
on
course,
myself, because it all worked
it's
out
hard
fine
to
in the
get in.
end.
You've got to work hard. You've got to, you know, have
We hear that advice quite often
deliver
on
in
these
terms
types
of
of calls.
exams
I
and
think
getting the
it's
grades that you need.
real
But
human nature
you know,
to worry
it's well
about
worth
things,
it
and
once you do.
I
So
think
I think
if we all
sometimes
spent
you
less
have to
time
push
worrying, you know,
yourself
you free up a
out
lot
of
of
that
energy, don't you,
kind
for
of
other
comfort
things?
zone,
It's
if you
easier said
like,
than done, of course.
to try
But
some of
yeah,
these new
really good
things to get
advice
the
as
best
well.
out of it.
Okay, I'm gonna go over to Lily because she has to be C. What part of your job do you
Yes, that's
enjoy the
right.
most,
So
would you say?
I just wish I told myself.
You
I
know,
guess you'll
we
hear
actually
about it
have
more
some
later.
really
That
nice, I mean, there's lots of things I
I
enjoy about
challenged
my
myself
job.
to try
Hopefully
more
that kind of
activities.
comes across.
I
I
didn't
think
just stick in my
one of the
comfort
nice
zone
things
doing what I
is
feel
when
like
you
I can
actually
do
sometimes
and
we
I
hear from
know
patients,
how to do.
right? And we hear
Because
from a patient that,
if I
you know,
if I did
thank you,
that,
G Healthcare, because you really helped
it could have.
me to
I
get
think I would have
onto the
found
right
out where I wanted
treatment
to go so
because
much
of the
earlier and find out what I
diagnosis
didn't
that
want to
they
do as
got
well.
because
So
of
yeah.
one of our imaging agents. So
Yeah,
one
we
of the
heard last
products that
week
we
when we had
provide,
our
they're
amazing
able to
brain
get a
session
better
as well about the
diagnosis,
importance of
and
trying new
that
things
means a
and how
better
that can really
treatment
like
path
help
for
our
them and
brains and
better
the connections
outcome for them,
between the neurons
and
in
to
our
the
brains and all of
extent
that
that
kind
they
of thing. So
then
it's very
write
topical at
in,
the
even if
moment,
it's
isn't
just
it,
an
in these
email
sessions?
to say
Well,
thank
it's actually
you.
your
You know,
turn now,
that's a
Lily.
really
So
good
we can
moment in
find out a
terms of
bit
what
more
we
maybe
do
about
and the impact
your career
of some
journey
of the
so
things that we
far
do in our
and
business.
this piece of advice that you've given. Really see that. Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Question
Right,
from
so
Beechwood
this
School,
is
which
me.
is
So
just down the road in
some lots of
Slough.
random pictures.
Why did you move
So
into G
right in the
Healthcare?
middle at
Did
the
you
top,
not like
those are
what
my
you were
famous
doing
chickens.
at PwC?
That's just the three of them,
So
but I do have
I really
5.
enjoyed
The
what I
other
was doing at
2 refused to
PwC.
get
I
on
was there a
the
long time. So I
rank. So
think I was at PwC in total
that
for
will do.
about
So
12
and
years.
then
So quite a long
I've got a
time.
border collie called Sally,
And I
and
think
that
partly,
is
you
her
get
on
to
the
a point
top
where you
left
think,
with
you know,
my
it's time
son
for a
watching the
change.
tablet together, sharing
Also,
the screen.
there's a certain dynamic in
And
terms of being an
in my
advisor,
spare
and some
time,
people love that and want
kind
to
of
do
like
that the whole
Julia, I do a
time.
lot of
But
stuff
I was at the point
and
where I was
lots of
thinking,
interests
okay,
outside
well,
of work
it's
just
all
to
well and good me
unwind and
advising
distress.
other
So what I
people on
tend to
what
do
to do,
is build
you
Lego.
know, to sell a business and
And I'm
negotiating the deal
also
and
quite
everything
active
else.
in
But
orchestras.
what if
So
you
it
are
was
the
something I
person
played at
in
school,
the business who then has to
and I had to,
deal with the
and I stopped playing
consequences of that?
for a period of
So,
time. But
you know,
it's something I
dealing
got
with,
back
you know,
into,
I've
and it
just
just
bought a
made a huge
business. How do
difference.
we
And
integrate
being
that
able to just
business?
do
How do
something and
we
meet people
make the
outside
most of that investment
and actually go to
thing.
contests
So
and perform
I
as well.
think
So
for
that's
me,
been
from
absolutely
moving
brilliant.
from that advisory
also, like,
perspective into
reading,
being a sort of business
playing
leader and
video
owning
games
that
and
decision, I
traveling.
think was
So
a
what
good
you see
learning for
is
me. So I
Honeymoon in
think,
Japan at
again,
the
I
top,
think, it's
right,
good to keep learning and
and
testing yourself and doing
the
different things.
Great Wall of China in the middle left. So that
Definitely,
was
you know,
part
careers are
of when
quite
I
long
went
now,
on
getting
training
longer, so
on
there's
my
plenty of time to
graduate
try a few
program.
different things and
So we
move
went
around for
to
sure.
China
That's right.
for training
Okay, we're
for
going to switch topic. There's a lot of
4
interest
weeks.
in you
So
and
we
your
had an
horses.
opportunity to
So
visit the sites.
I'm
And
going
that
to
is
try to
me.
paraphrase a few questions. So do you have a favourite?
So a little bit
Did
about
you ever
my
consider
career
like
journey and
making horse riding
choices. So I
more
thought I'd start with the
serious?
education side of things. So I think I
And
had
do
quite
you
a
ever go to
typical
horse riding competitions
GCSE
and have you
choices
won
where
any?
the core subjects like the
Okay,
sciences
good
and the
question.
math and
No, I don't have a
the
favorite.
elective ones, the ones I could select.
I
I
love
kind of
them
lean
all
towards
equally.
humanities, so like the
Um,
geographies,
That may
histories, and I
vary day to
also
day if one of
was
you
actually
does
quite
something a bit naughty,
interested
but
in
you know,
Latin and Greek,
largely,
ancient Greek,
yes, I
because I
love
like
them
solving
equally.
problems.
Look, I think for
But when I
me,
got
you
to
know,
A
horse
levels,
riding
I
is
switched to
my
very
my
sciencey
escape, if
type
you
thing
like.
because that's just
So
what I had
so it's
interest in.
definitely a
So I did
hobby for me. I
maths
don't
and
think
further
I'm at the
maths
level,
and
to be
chemistry,
fair,
biology and
where
general
I could
studies on the
take this
side.
professionally. I have a
And
lot of
that
respect for
was
those
all
who
to get
do, but it's
into
probably not what
medicine.
I'm going to
Or
do.
so I thought that's what I
For me,
wanted
it's
to do,
about having
because
fun. It's about
at
relaxing
school,
and unwinding outside of
I
work.
naively
I
thought that if
do
you're
some
good at science
competitions
and you want to
on my
make a difference,
horses.
you went into
They
medicine,
are sort of
veterinary, or
local
dentistry.
level, again,
So I
fun
chose medicine.
things, right? So and we've had
Did
some
a couple
nice
of years
rosettes and
of
things
that,
like that.
and
So
it just
so
was
it's
not
all,
for me.
it's all good.
All right.
You know, I think
So
it's really
I had to
important
make
to
the
have
difficult,
interests
well, it
outside
wasn't a
of
difficult
work,
decision, but I had to
obviously.
make a decision to just
And so
switch
you know, sometimes
and had
those
to
are
ask
the
myself,
things
what did
that,
I
you know,
really
it
want to do?
just
And
keeps
that's
you
when I switched
motivated
to
and
maths,
everything
because
else, when, you
as you
know,
can see
there's
from my A
always going
levels,
to
the fact that I
be
did maths and further
pressure at
maths just kind of
times, and so
should
you
have
need
hinted at me that I like maths.
that way to sort of unwind and do something a bit
So then,
different.
yeah, so I ended up switching,
Yeah, it was
starting
interesting
again,
that all three of you, with
but
the
luckily
fun
still
facts
at
you shared, they
Birmingham
were all kind of around
University.
interests,
And I did
which wasn't
masters in
planned. I
maths
don't
with a year
think
in
it's just
computer
the way it
science, and
happened.
that was
So
like
it does show the
it
importance
was
of that.
fantastic. It was just the right
Does
fit
it
for me.
ever get stressful having all these roles?
So during that time, I'm going to switch
Yeah, I think,
over
look,
to the career side. If you see the
sometimes,
timelines.
yeah, of course, there's
So
deadlines,
during
or
the
there's, you know, things go wrong,
masters in
right?
maths,
And we
I
have to
did a
find
3-month
solutions
internship
and
at
things like that. And
HealthCare,
you can't always plan.
and
And
I
I
did it in
guess,
IT and
you
not
know,
maths,
stress largely comes when you
because I
can't
just
plan
want to see the
things and things
application of
happen
it in
unexpectedly.
industry, and that was supporting health
I
and
think you
HR
just
and
have
finance.
to, you know, take a
So that
step
was only for
back
3
and
months, but
take
it
a deep
gave me a
breath and
taste of
say,
what it was
okay,
like to work in the
what's
IT
really the
industry.
problem here? What's really going
And
on?
then once I graduated,
And what are the
I
steps
was
we
like,
can
you know,
take
I need
to
to
kind of
find out more
improve
about
or
it. So I
address the
joined the
situation?
leadership program in
think
IT that they
so.
have at
I think
GE.
being
So it was
quite
a global,
measured
just
and
not
sort of
general GE
balanced and
Healthcare,
being
but
able to take
all the
that
different
step back
businesses within GE.
is kind of critical.
So that
Yeah,
program
that's really
gave
good
me the
advice.
opportunity to then switch different
I'm going
jobs
to take
every 6
one last
months.
question, because I
I
think
have
this
to
is
deliver
a
a
good one to
project.
finish
It
on
was
for
quite
now.
intense.
What was your
In different
dream
functions,
job
in
as a
different
kid,
businesses,
and would you
doing
change your
different things. So
current
I was at
job
project manager
and go
roles,
back to that dream job?
program manager roles, looking at
So I think
logistics.
when I was growing up, I'm a very
Problem
animal
manager was
sort of person.
interesting. So
I wanted to
that
be a
was
vet,
in
I think before I
supporting
realized what
when
that
anything
really
goes
meant,
wrong.
in all honesty.
When any application goes wrong for the
Because, you know,
business,
being a vet is not all
you're then
about
the person that
just,
have
you
to
know,
get a
having
backup.
fun with some
So a lot of
animals. So I
facilitating,
think
working
there's
with
clearly
very
some
angry
tougher
people,
sides. And so,
and also
yeah, look, I
working with the
think,
technical people, getting
I
it back
think
up and
that's what
running
I
again
wanted to
in the
do
shortest amount of time possible.
for
And
a
I went
few years,
technical
actually.
into database architecture,
I don't know. I
which
think
then I
the
ended up
more I did
doing
some kind of work
as a
experience and
permanent
things
role
like that,
for a
and
few
got a little
years,
bit closer to what it
and then moved into
meant,
something
I
called
guess
data science,
I
which
think
is
I kind of learned that
trying
that probably
to
wasn't the
use
thing
data in
that
very clever
was going to
ways to
keep me
predict
happy
what
and
could happen,
satisfied, I guess, and the
or
thing that was going
to
to
create
interest
models to
me over
simulate
the
what
years.
happens.
So I
And
think
that
that's where,
really
in
got me
part, I drew
interested
this
in
line in terms of animals and the horses
modeling
being
with
hobbies and
data,
things,
right?
and then, you know,
So,
work following
and the
other
fascinating
passions in
things that you
terms of
could do
how do
with
we
data
drive,
and
you know,
everything you create
better
with it. So,
patient
which is why
outcomes
I
and
ended up
improvements from
doing
a patient
a
perspective, and hence
PhD
the interest in sort of
in
pharma and
computational
healthcare.
physics. So that's all about
So
modeling, that's
yeah, I
understanding the
guess that's
real
kind of
world
the thought process
and
as I moved
just
through that.
taking what happens in the the real world and try to
Sorry,
create
I'm going to
it
actually ask
in a
another question, because
simulation.
there are
So you
so
can
many
predict
really good
on a
ones still
computer
coming
what
in.
will happen,
This is more about sort of
so
like
that
sort of
you
flexibility
can
and
then
all that
make
kind of
things
thing.
better
So is there much flexibility
without
with your
actually making
job?
it
Can
happen in
you
real
work
life.
remotely? Do you
Because
have
not
set
all
hours?
situations you can replicate in real life
My
easily.
job is pretty flexible. now, I would say.
After
So
the
I work from
PhD, I
home
then decided to
probably
return
2 or 3
to
days a week
G
and in the
Healthcare
office for
because
the
it was
rest
such
of
a
the week.
lovely
But I
company. I
travel
had a
quite a
really
lot for
great
work as
time and
well.
fantastic colleagues.
So,
But
you know,
then I switched roles
so
again,
of course, when you're
staying
traveling,
with the technical
you have to
theme,
be there
but
and you
now
have to
moving
have,
more
you know,
towards
you're
the
working
business
all
and
the
the
time
product
while
side
you're
of things
there.
in
But
R&D.
the rest of the time,
So
you know, it's
if we
very
go to the next
flexible. I
slide, I can
completely
tell a
control
bit
my
more
own
about my role
calendar.
in
I speak
that.
to
So
people, both
what my role is
internal
sort of
teams and
bridging the
external
gap
teams
between
around the globe.
R&D when
So,
you're
you know,
thinking of
sometimes I'll start early because
what
I've
you
got
want to
calls with
create,
Japan and China,
developing
and
new
sometimes I'll
products,
work late
to
because I've
the
got calls
product
with or
side
meetings
in
with the
terms of
US.
making it happen.
And so I
Okay,
can
so
very
I
much
bridge
sort
the
of
gap
flex
between
my
the two.
times accordingly, which is
So
quite handy because a
I
couple of
kind of
days
come
a
at the
week I go and see my
late
horses
stages
first
of
thing in the morning. So I start a little bit
prototyping in
later,
R&D
2
and
days a week, which is good.
switch it into a product. So I
That's
need to do a lot
fantastic.
of
Thank you,
communication,
Julia. That
sharing the
was
information
another
to different
really
stakeholders,
interesting
different teams. So
talk.
talking with
And I know you're
technical
going to
people,
stay on the line, so we'll probably have some
solving their problems,
time
and
at the
then
end if there's
translating
more
that and
questions
talking
still
to
coming
the
through.
function and the business,
So
like
what
the
we want
sales
to do
teams,
now, a bit like we did at the start
commercial
with
teams,
Match the Fun
things like
Facts,
that.
each of our speakers, and I know you
Involves
haven't met Lily
troubleshooting,
yet, but
problem
we'll
solving.
be meeting her in a minute.
So lots of issues come up about the projects and the products you're trying to make. So trying to solve those problems because this is all new. It's not been done before, so it's kind of fun. Influencing how to persuade people, getting buy-in from different people you work with on the new ideas and in terms of making it happen. And then lots of time management because there's lots of different things going on at the same time, to making sure that juggling all the different balls, making sure it all happens and it all stays on schedule. Curiosity, I mean, with the R&D nature, it's always being curious when asking what if, asking the questions and always wondering. And that comes hand in hand with continuously learning about new things, sharing ideas, and also the technical side of things in terms of software development and the product knowledge. So yeah, so that was the whistle stop tour. So, yeah. Any questions?
Fantastic. And you also find lots of time to help us so much with volunteering, Lily. And I know lots of the schools on the call know you well. So thank you. I have to ask a question first, and it has actually come up in the chat. What instrument do you play in your orchestra?
In orchestra, okay, so I play a few instruments. Before orchestra, I play violin.
Violin, aha, I
Yeah.
thought it might be. And what are your other instruments?
Piano, flute, and clarinet.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, I can see why you can switch off you playing all those different things. I think the first question is probably linking back to what you told us about doing medicine and then deciding not to. So why did you change and move onto a different career?
I mean, it was a hard choice because it is such a great career choice for people that love it, but you have to know you love it. It is a lot of hard work. And for me, I realized what I wanted out of a career was not what I could just get from medicine, right? And what I really wanted was to be able to help people and solve problems. And that I didn't have to be a doctor to do that. And yeah, I kind of realized that. And I just wish I realized it sooner and explored different opportunities earlier, I guess. Yeah, and I just missed problem solving and just like sitting down and just thinking through a problem, seeing what happens. Yeah.
I think for all of us when we're at school, you know, you meet doctors, you meet dentists, so they're in front of you. So when you think that you want to help people, it's logical, and vets as well. Whereas, of course, when you're at school, you don't very often get chances like this to meet people in industry and find out that there's so many other ways you can help people and kind of apply those skills. So I really hope that we've given everyone some food for thought this morning. Do you use artificial intelligence, AI, within your job, Lily?
We do. We are looking at products with using AI. So yes, definitely.
I'm going to ask you a question I think that came up earlier as well for one of the other speakers. What is your dream job now, and what was your dream job as a child? Well, maybe that's been answered. But
Oh, what's my dream job now? That is a tough one. It might sound a bit weird, but I love making things more efficient. Like, so having organization skills and making things more efficient and automated so we can do things faster and easier. So which is why I guess I like the digital side of things, because it's all about making people's jobs easier, right? So we can do more with our time. But yeah, more on the process. And what was my dream job as a kid? So similar to Julia, before I did medicine, I wanted to be a vet because I loved animals and I wanted to look after them. So yeah, I had the same thought process that Julia went through when we looked further into that. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think it's just time for a couple more questions. So, is it hard to get a PhD, Lily?
Yes and no, because because you know it's a choice, right? And you choose a subject you're really passionate about, that you really wanted to solve. So yes, it's hard work solving it, because to get a PhD you need to solve a problem that hasn't been done before and be able to write about it. But the fact that you're so interested in it because you picked it, that doesn't make it hard at all, because you're interested in working on it. So yeah.
Great answer. A question for you about your internship with GE HealthCare. Maybe you could just say a little bit more about sort of the process that you had to go through to apply for that, and what made you want to apply in the first place.
Yeah, I guess when you're at university, you see lots of courses offer the year-long placements like Holly did, right? But my course didn't offer an industrial placement. But then I also understood the value of having work experience to understand what happens in the industry, so you can make that connection. So then we had a really, really good career service at the university. So I was basically just went there to look for summer opportunities. And yeah, GE HealthCare came up. I said, okay, fantastic, healthcare. But I didn't need to have any healthcare knowledge. So I gave that a go, and it was yeah, and obviously I apply for other, like, all sorts of different industries. I remember applying to like PwC, like where Julia works and everything. You just have to like open up your network and see what happens. But no, I'm glad made a connection with GE HealthCare.
Definitely, we're very glad you did too. Okay, couple of questions about the fourth wing. Did you enjoy it?
It was okay. Yes, I do have to now finish the series. I'm just waiting for the next books to come out. But yes.
Last question. What is the best part of your dog? And please, can we meet your dog? What's the
Oh,
best part of your job? Sorry, and please.
my
can we meet
job. And please go with someone else. What's the best part of my dog? Is like, which part do I pick? Best part of my job is, I think it's a cross-functional nature. So what I mean by that is getting to work with all sorts of different people and across different teams. So I'm not just working within the same team, talking to the same people all the time. It's all the different people and doing all the different jobs and connecting all the people together.
Well, I would just like to say a really big thank you to all of our speakers this morning, and for all the fantastic questions that we've had through on the chat today. Really, thanks so much for your attention. Thanks so much for joining today. That's the last of our GE HealthCare series. And next month, we're going to be meeting our third and final sponsor, GE Vernova, where they'll be running their masterclass session with you. So that will be in the summer term. So until then, have a great Easter, and we really look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care. Bye.